MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma uphumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Masandawana ladies want to rubber stamp their authority with maximum points to stay on the summit. The Copper Belt ladies want to fight with all they have to move away from the bottom half. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns Ladies FC versus Copper Belt Ladies FC on Saturday, 5 October at 11 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Should I even listen? Should I even try? Will I just be hearing the same old lines? Baby, see, it doesn't matter what you say this time, 'cause the whole relationship is built on one lie. You say things on the way they seem, but still you can't come straight with me. How can you think that you're in love when you don't know the meaning of? I should have brought you home last night. You should have been with me. Should have been right by my side, baby. If you cared anything for me, then love would have brought you to me last night. I gotta hand it to you. You had me there for a while. I was so in love with you, I couldn't see past your smile. Now I smell the coffee. I got a wake call, and you left a message that you just don't care at all. You can't expect me to believe that she does not mean anything. You say that
is none other than the incomparable Toni Braxton coming through with Love Should Have Brought You Home last night. This actually became her debut single, her debut solo single, written by Kenneth Babyface Edmonds and Daryl Simmons, and co-produced by Ellie Reid, a power trio right there coming together for this incredible song. And it was actually initially written with the intention of being produced for Anita Baker, who at the time declined to record the record because she was pregnant, and she declined to record the record, and ultimately Toni Braxton recorded the record. It became the leading single to her debut album, self-titled debut album, Toni Braxton. It also featured in the 1992 romantic comedy film Boomerang. It was part of the track list that featured in that iconic soundtrack. I think Boomerang probably was one of those films that really just had a soundtrack that stands out on its own, a cream above the rest. That is how we say good afternoon to you today. It's a beautiful day. It's a great day to have a beautiful day, and I hope that you are having a beautiful day wherever you are. We've got lots of show coming your way. We're kind of taking it easy today, but we've got some interesting conversation nonetheless. We are going to be catching up with the choreographer of a play called Nkoli, the Vogue Opera. This is Philip Miller's Nkoli, the Vogue Opera. We're catching up with the choreographer of that. And we're having a conversation about the play in part, but also a broader conversation about the representation of the LGBTQI plus community within the art spaces. Made in SA is featuring today. We're going to be catching up with model turned stylist turned fashion entrepreneur Sheldon Kopman, who's the founder of Naked Ape, and he's going to be telling us around his much anticipated showcase that is coming up as part of SA Fashion Week. And then we're going to be also touching base with the founder of an electric motorcycle, which is on some kind of an expedition, from what I understand, from Nairobi, making its way to Stellenbosch, and we'll find out more. On the other side of 2 o'clock, we have more conversations around, independence and self-discovery and things of that nature, but we'll tell you more about that closer to the time. Here's an interesting study that we came across. We came across this interesting study by 10X Investments Retirement Reality Report for 2023 that highlighted that only 6% of South Africans are on track for comfortable retirement. So only 6% of South Africans are on track for comfortable retirement. And obviously this now pushing a lot of South Africans to consider working abroad. In the U.S., the survey also revealed that healthcare costs, for instance, are a major concern for people that are nearing retirement. And as an option, they've decided to relocate to little islands like Mauritius, that has become a very popular retirement destination because of the fact that it provides advanced medical care at affordable costs, right? So I'm wondering, as a South African, and 16% of South Africans make up the retiree community in Mauritius as well. So we're also opting to retire in Mauritius. And I'm wondering, as a South African, are you thinking along where would you like to retire ultimately? What would be your dream retirement destination location? And could you even afford to pack up in 10, 20 years' time and go live in a place like a Mauritius? Or, hey, man, let's not even cast the stone that far. Can you even afford to pack up and go live in Cape Town, for instance, and enjoy your retirement days? That is the family meeting on the table. Where would you ultimately, what would be your dream destination of retirement, whether you're taking retirement at 60, 65, whether you're taking retirement early, ideally in your dreams, what would that be? 16% of South Africans are retiring in Mauritius, choosing to retire in Mauritius. Stability, safety, affordability, and they focus on healthcare are the primary reasons they are the top destination for South African and American retirees. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. Let's take a quick pause and we'll be right back.
The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma uphumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3, Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Attention all caregivers of children. Are you and your children's vaccinations up to date? Vaccinations can prevent serious diseases and prevent hospital stays. Protect your little ones by getting them vaccinated. Don't wait until it's too late. Talk to your healthcare provider today about getting your child vaccinated against serious childhood diseases. Because health matters. This message is brought to you by Sanofi and the National Department of Health.
The reality is that 90% of South Africans don't save enough for retirement. This National Seniors Month, why not be part of the 10% who do? Choose an interest rate of up to 11.7% after 60 months with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Anyone 55 and over can open one on the Money app in less than 2 minutes. Go to nedbank.co.za for more info. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
So, as the global conversation surrounding the LGBTQI plus rights continues to gain momentum, the art world is increasingly becoming a platform for advocacy and representation. And on October the 13th, the spotlight will be on Sam Goli, who is a bold and groundbreaking art piece, that delves into the intersections of sports and LGBTQI plus identities. And we've got joining us now to talk to us about the Philip Melancholy, the Vogue opera, is Llewellyn Mnguni, who is a choreographer. How are you doing this afternoon, Llewellyn?
Hello, Bridget, and hello to the listeners. I'm doing really well. I'm actually currently in rehearsals for the show, so there's a lot going on.
I can imagine. Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it a lot. I mean, let's start with you personally. Your dancing creative career began really at the tender age of 11. This is when you started dancing. This is when you took to the stage for the first time.
Yes. I mean, for me, dancing was just such a natural thing that just happened to me. But I also think for myself, it's I got it from my mother. My mother used to be a Latin and ballroom dancer, and she didn't really take the career professionally because her mother obviously was like, get a real job. Dancing is not a real job, so she had to, she had to take another route. So I just really started dancing in the corridors at home and, just copying whatever was on television and just trying to dance from just how I feel, breaking vases at home. So my mom forced me to just go to a dance class and stop dancing like in the corridors at home, ruining her furniture. So that's really where it all started. And then I continued to get more education by going to National School of Arts, which was, for me, I think it was a life-changing stage in my life because that school really groomed me to be the dancer and the choreographer that I am, and kind of opened doors for me to see what I am capable of.
And it's a wonderful space, I think, for any creative to sort of hone their talent. I'm a big sort of fan of the work that the National School of Arts does. Let's talk about also the importance, right? And I precursed the conversation around, in parts, we're going to be talking about the Vogue opera, but also just broadly how the creative and art spaces have really opened up very necessary conversations to be had, amongst and between and about and with the LGBTQI plus community on a whole host of things. What makes the sort of expression through creativity and art such a necessary tool for dialogue and for advocacy?
I think it's very important because I think we can all have conversations that are political, that are just like spoken in word, and no messages really goes through and really impacts like people at a large scale. I think art is just such a very visceral and emotional form of expression, but also of teaching, that it really does impact people's lives. People really learn and also unlearn behavior patterns, and they learn about like what's going on in the world. So for me, I feel like it's really an imperative part of any society to have the art as a place where you learn lessons and you know what politically what is going on. And for me, I think personally, dance and choreography movement specifically was a way for me to kind of find healing. I found healing through movement because as I was growing up, I had a lot of moments where, I was discriminated, I was beaten up. Society didn't really accept me, especially being a very feminine representing male.
Yeah.
So I found dance to be the safe space that I could go and express myself and find healing and also be in touch with myself and know that, I'm worthy and it's okay for me to be alive and I deserve to be here.
Absolutely. And, I always find that the creative avenues, the various creative disciplines really just offer a great way for us to engage in maybe even dialogues that might be a little uncomfortable for some, or topics that might antagonize for the most part, but offer a space that is safe and that is inviting, where all kinds of questions can be asked and answered with very little judgment. And do you find when you put together works that speak to the LGBTQI plus community and the culture, do you find that it invites that kind of curiosity from folks who might not necessarily go to a pride march or might not necessarily over dinner, feel the need to ask Llewellyn the kinds of questions that they want to, but when they come to see in performance and to see you in performance and to experience you in performance, might suddenly find themselves having that courage to engage a conversation that they would have ordinarily just looked over?
Definitely. I think music and dance are a universal language. Everyone understands what is going on. Everyone feels it. It's an emotional and it's just an experience that goes beyond words. So I find experiences of, especially with the work that I do personally, I do a lot of LGBTQIA plus community work, and I choreograph pieces that are for the queer community because I feel like there's not enough stories being told about the queer people who should be celebrated. And you find people just really having these aha moments where they learn because I think the lesson is being taught in a different way, and it's coming in a way where it is a feeling. So I think the arts are just so important to open doors and to show people about who we are and how we are all equal, generally.
Are we doing enough by way of representation? I know that the conversation in recent years has been around, representation should be authentic to the community. And are we doing enough to mobilize that within the context of South Africa?
I think in the context of South Africa, I think it's slowly coming together. I think you see more kind of affluent, let's say, designers, people who are in the media, queer faces are kind of becoming more prominent now. And I think it's just such a beautiful time that we're having in terms of that. The people who are coming out of the closet, they are able to switch on their televisions and really connect with somebody who is the same as them. So I think we are doing well, but I think there's always room for improvement. There's room for more acceptance and for visibility. So, and in all aspects, you know, in television, media, everywhere. So I think more is needed, more representation is needed.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit, Llewellyn, tell us about Simon Nkoli. For those of us like myself who are encountering the name for the first time, give us some context.
So Simon Nkoli was a queer activist during the uprising and during apartheid, and really was fighting for not just like for Black people politically, but also fighting for the queer people who were also being shunned, because we basically have the same experiences. You know, racism and homophobia are basically in the same context. And he really showed, you know, South Africa and politically everyone that, you know, acceptance is needed, you know, and also shining the light on HIV, especially at this time, which you know, there was just a huge stigma about it, and how it was kind of like boxed in as if it was like a queer disease when it's actually just a disease. So we are basically celebrating his life, and we're telling a true story about his life, about his trials and tribulations, but also celebrating all of the triumphs that he had and how he really contributed so largely to the queer community and politically to South Africa, and opened the eyes of society of what of the presence of the LGBTQIA plus community. So we have voguing, which is a dance style. So it's basically a ball. There's lots of beautiful singers, great dancers. The choreography is insane. The costumes are just out of this world. So there's just loads and loads of costumes, colorful, just queer pride in just such an explosive way. Yeah. So it's a feel-good production. It's somewhere where you will walk out with tears, with laughter, and just go through a roller coaster of emotions.
Absolutely. You know what I want to do? I want to pause us here for a quick second. I'll come back on the other side and I'll steal 1 or 2 minutes of your time, so that maybe before we wrap up our conversation, we also use the moment to, you know, illuminate some curiosity around, you know, ball culture, for instance, for folks that didn't grow up in the LGBTQI plus community and are unfamiliar. But let's pause it there for a second. I'm still asking, and our question is open on WhatsApp. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. It should be auto-saved by now because we are friends and family, so we should be on your contact list. But 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. You know, the 10X investment retirement reality report said that 16% of South Africans are accounting for the retirees that are relocating to Mauritius. And amongst those are also Americans, but South Africans make up 1.6% of those retirees. Stability, safety, affordability, and healthcare are the reasons that are cited for why we are choosing Mauritius as our number one destination for retirement. And I wonder if you ever think about this as you listen to us. Do you ever think about ideally where would you like to retire, or ideally what would you like your retirement to be, and are you in a position to even pack up and go to a country like Mauritius and think of it as an option, you know, or even a city like Cape Town? People always say, you know, Cape Town is benefiting from the professional economy, professional you know, relocation. Are you thinking of being in a place financially where you are able to weigh your options about where would you like to, you know, live your golden years and enjoy the easy parts of life? Or is that something so far-fetched because of the circumstance of where we find ourselves as South Africans that you can't even think about packing yourself up and your partner and going to relocate to an island like Mauritius for your retirement? It's not even in your wildest dreams. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. Madupi, though, is patiently standing by with the headline news.
Thanks, Sister Bridge, and good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, the Polokwane Regional Court in Limpopo has postponed the bail application of 3 men accused of killing 2 women in the pigsty farm murder case to the 6th of next month. Public sector wage talks officially kicked off this week at the Public Sector Coordinating Bargaining Council, and Claudia Sheinbaum has been sworn in as Mexico's new president, becoming the first woman in the country's history to hold that office. A full news update coming up 2 o'clock.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We're in conversation with Llewellyn Nguni, who is a choreographer, a professional dancer. And Llewellyn is, of course, forming part of this incredible production that is to be staged at the Baxter Theatre from the 9th until the 29th of October in celebration of Simon Gawley's incredible life, as we've got to find out a bit more about the LGBTQI plus activists. Let's talk a little bit as well, Llewellyn, around, you know, the culture of the community, because I think a lot of a lot of people are not really familiar with what comprises when we say the community culture, what exactly we're talking about. Things like balls and voguing are very foreign to everyone, especially cis-identifying folks.
Ballroom culture, started back in like 70s, 80s. This started in New York, in the neighborhoods of Harlem, where basically the queer community would come together and have a ball where they felt safe, and they would have different categories where they would have a moment where they would be able to dress up and celebrate themselves. And these categories would be like kind of corporate realness, because a lot of the time people couldn't get these kind of jobs, so you would be dressing up to kind of feel like you're corporate. Or it would be let's say femme would be a category where people would come in and be their most feminine versions of themselves. So I think it's a moment in time where it was about celebrating your alter ego, which is a big part of who you are, and dress up and forget about what society is kind of treating you as, and be with your community and be celebrated and be seen. And with that said, we have balls now in South Africa, and we have balls such as Le Grand Ball. We have Vogue Nights, which happens in Johannesburg, and I think there's definitely one in Cape Town as well that just started recently. And these are basically the same, but we have adopted it into more of a South African culture, and we have categories such as Kotani realness, things like that, African royalty. So it's just really fun, and anyone is invited. It's not exclusive just to the queer community. It is a safe space for people to come and celebrate each other, to come and dress up, to come and forget about all of their problems, and be part of just a bigger community that really just cares and looks after each other.
Yeah. And, I keep missing, and I think I need to start questioning my circle of friends, because I keep missing Vogue Nights in Johannesburg.
Oh my gosh, you should come.
No, I think I'm going to track it myself, because, people are trying to keep me out of all the fabulousness. No doubt I'll probably look even more fabulous. This is why they're like, actually, you must just stay there. So this incredible opera is being staged at the Baxter Theatre, and you're opening on the 9th, and you're having a lovely, healthy run, because it's 3 weeks of a wonderful run.
Yes, it's I think about 11, 12 performances. So there's enough time for everyone to catch the show. We have also matinees for people that don't like, to stay up late. And the cast is all the same on every night, so you really will catch the show as it is originally. And it's just an exciting time, and the Baxter Theatre is just historically just one of the best theatres in the country. So it's just going to be an amazing event, and because the stage is being built specifically for the show, so you are literally going to see a Vogue fashion show ball with just the best musicians and great actors, singers, dancers. So it's at a large scale, to be honest. It's really crazy. Yeah.
No, it sounds like an incredible night, and we wish you and the cast the very best for opening night. That was choreographer Llewellyn Mnguni joining us. They are on stage. 20 rands are the tickets, and they're available at Web Tickets. You can go through. 9th of October is when the performances kick off, and it runs until the 29th of October. And of course, you know that we are heading, well, we are actually in Pride Month, so the Baxter Theatre presenting that particular production. Llewellyn, we appreciate the time with you this afternoon. That was choreographer Llewellyn Mnguni. The show moves along quite swiftly here, and we're going to obviously get into a conversation in just a matter of a few moments with founder of Naked Ape, Sheldon Kopman, for Made in SA. Also, coming up today, I'm quite into this story of this electric motorcycle expedition that's departing from Nairobi, and it's going all the way to Stellenbosch. We'll find out more about that and what is the motivation behind here. And obviously Transport Month. It's Transport Month, but we want to find out more, Uti. You know, how does this sort of relate to our story, especially around informal transportation? Because I think Nairobi, Kenya, there's a lot of scooters, if I'm not mistaken, right? There's a lot of scooters on the road. They have their fair share of scooter transport that can rival our share of the taxis that we have on the road, if I'm not mistaken. I think a lot of people utilize scooters in Nairobi, that part of the world. But our lines are open on 061-410-4107. That's our WhatsApp line. And of course, you can always call us on 086-000-2032. So my producers were asking me, where would I ideally like to retire? And I think, like most South Africans, I was stumped at the question because there's so many things that we have to take into consideration, right? So immediately I said, well, listen, I'm a creative. I have to think about my own retirement plan. It's not as though once I decide to hang up this microphone, someone's going to give me a payout of sorts. I have to be considering these things on my own. And so I've had to think about it for a little bit. But what I definitely think is that I definitely would not take an island, hey? I would not take an island. I understand the stability part of Mauritius. I understand the safety, the affordability. I have vacationed there. It's one of my favorite places. Been there 2, 3, 4 times and counting. But I wouldn't necessarily want to retire at an island. One of my team just said that they want to retire at Lake Como. How much money do you have? How much money do you have to be retiring in Lake Como, Italy? We're still trying to save the cents just to go vacation in Lake Como, Italy for 2 weeks and really just enjoy it. Now imagine retiring there, right? So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. The verdict is still out. Locally, it would have to be somewhere coastal. I'm a coastal baby, so a coastal place would be very nice. I've discovered some really interesting neighborhoods in Port Elizabeth. But if I had to think internationally, I think I'll still think about it a little bit. It must be a city, perhaps European, with a nice healthy medium of being slow, but still having like a metro city vibe to it. So, like a happy medium. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. But as you think about yours as well, we'd love to know your thought process around retirement. 086-000-2032 and 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's take a quick pause.
Masandawana ladies want to rubber stamp their authority with maximum points to stay on the summit. The Copper Belt ladies want to fight with all they have to move away from the bottom half. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns Ladies FC versus Copperbelt Ladies FC on Saturday, 5 October at 11 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Did you know that 80% of South Africans' barley is sold to the beer industry? Well, this locally sourced barley, along with other natural ingredients, plays a vital role in beer production, contributing 2.2 billion rand to the country's agricultural GDP. And you can join South African breweries on the 3rd of October, that's tomorrow in Caledon, as they delve into the state of the beer economy. SAB Brewing, a future full of cheers. South Africa, be sharp. Remember that beer and alcohol is not for sale to persons under the age of 18.
Made in SA with Bridget Masinga.
All right, as we continue with the show on this very fine Wednesday afternoon, we're catching up with Sheldon Kopman now, founder of Naked Ape. And he's been a man who's very much been prominent in the fashion industry in South Africa, starting off as a young model, gracing every single ramp and catwalk as well as magazines, then turning his attention to styling and getting involved in that, bringing visions to life in glossies and commercials, and ultimately founding Naked Ape, which is an incredible African luxury and sustainability conscious brand that puts craftsmanship at the forefront. And a very old friend of myself. How are you doing this afternoon, Sheldon?
Bridget, how are you?
I'm great.
You make me sound magnificent, gracing every catwalk. Yeah, wonderful, Bridget. It's not quite that, but all good.
Fantastic. So good to have you on the show. I mean, let's talk firstly, but I'm just wondering in 2 seconds if whether or not we are able to switch Sheldon's line are we able to switch it to WhatsApp perhaps? Okay. We're just going to pause here quickly, Sheldon, and just switch your line to WhatsApp, and then we'll come back on the other side.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Ngaba Mabece on SAFM.
I mean, we're shining the spotlight on road carnages and the number of children who die in accidents.
It is a very, very necessary conversation to have. Our children are extremely vulnerable in traffic, and every day between 7 and 8 children die on our roads as pedestrians, and it doesn't make the headlines, it doesn't make the news. Even Nelson Mandela's own grandchild died in a car crash.
Yeah, that's right. On the opening of the World Cup in 2010.
His son died in a crash.
Who?
Nelson Mandela's son.
Uthembekile, that's right.
Many years ago, he was in jail. He wasn't allowed to go to the funeral, if I remember correctly.
That's true.
So nobody is excluded from being a victim of a road crash.
Peggy Mars, founder of Wheel Well.
Tuesday Takeover on The Viewpoint. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we'll continue with the line. I mean, it's clear. We can hear you. I just wanted to have it clearer. Apologies for that. So we're talking to founder of Naked Ape, Sheldon Kopman. Sheldon, let's begin at the beginning. Let's talk about, the foundations of Naked Ape and the genesis of this particular apparel line.
All right. Hi. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, Bridget, basically I follow a very simple mantra that I developed many years ago, which is basically eco squared. Ethical, economical, and ecological. So when I started the brand, I started the brand with a very biodegradable mind, meaning that I wanted everything to be biodegradable, or at least 95% of the garment should biodegrade. Because it's really important that we have to understand that the decomposition of what we are wearing and how it becomes part of the earth again is a very important factor. And what we have of late is a lot of man-made petrochemical kind of textiles like the polyesters and so forth, and all the derivatives that come with that somehow are just creating all kinds of landfills because they don't decompose as rapidly as they should, as what the other biodegradable cottons and linens and bamboos do. So it was very, very challenging in the beginning because these textiles are not easily available. You got to do a serious hunt. You got to do a lot of research, and you got to do a lot of traveling to find them and create the context and the networks that you need in order for you to source such textiles, and somehow make them yourself as well. So over the years, I've managed to, harness this quite well and, manipulate these beautiful textiles into something that creates even a further wonderful experience for the wearer, where you creating a unique selling proposition by what you are actually doing, so that it becomes quite limited in its being and in its essence in the entirety. That's what Naked Ape is essentially about.
At the time you started Naked Ape, the conversation in fashion wasn't even around, sustainability. It wasn't even around the ethics of fashion. And I think that also speaks to the foresight of being, a leader in a particular space. Why is it so important for this industry? And we've asked various designers we've been in conversation with from the new school around why is it so important, for the brands that they're developing in the here and now to speak to this kind of consciousness and to also elicit this kind of awakening from consumers. Because before, 10, 20 years ago, consumers weren't preoccupied with their own fashion footprint. And now people are being conscientized. And I think it's because of the work that designers like yourself are doing in the spaces.
Correct, Bridget. Conscientizing being the operative word, really. And a lot of the time, we actually don't know what we wear. We don't know who has made our clothes. We don't understand textiles or anything of that sort. So fashion literacy or textile literacy or clothing literacy, for that matter, is a very, very important conversation that needs to be held on a regular. And our children, our kids in primary schools need to be conscientized from that level already in terms of what they are wearing, as they are conscientized in terms of what they are consuming food-wise and beverage-wise. This is exactly what needs to happen within the clothing and textile space. And yes, you're correct in saying that kind of awareness, when I founded this particular brand, was not something that was common amongst the clothing and textile fraternities at large. It was lurking, but it was very rare. And it was something that I challenged myself to do, and it proved to be extremely difficult. Yet very rewarding and also very fulfilling to know that you're contributing positively to an industry at large, and that you can lead by example as well. It's not just about the textile itself; it's also about wanting to make beautiful garments near perfection within the borders of your country. And being able to tap into as many resources and skills as that you have available to you, like the crafters and the various different artisanal skills that are available to us, knowing that we can use this and somehow create an extension to all of this that allows growth within industry. People often speak about jobs. The fashion industry is so large. The clothing and textile industry is so large. There's so many jobs to fill. There's so many roles that are needed.
Yeah.
And are highly necessary in order for you to, within this entire ecosystem, from inception to execution of any particular item that you are making. So we we have fashion schools,
Yeah.
but we don't have clothing and textile schools, which for me is more like your Technicon type thing or your college type thing where you're teaching people to be seamstresses, tailors, production managers, textile engineers, textile manipulators, and so forth and so forth. So I know I'm going on into various different angles, but I know it's all contributing to the sort of to the literacy in its entirety.
Absolutely. And I just want to touch on this as well as we wrap up, Sheldon, because, you mentioned craftsmanship and sort of the artisanal talents that come into play, particularly with your brand, Naked Ape, because aesthetically as well, it's a brand that really stands a cream above the crop. And South African men have not necessarily been known to be uber stylish, but you definitely push their sensories a little bit with what you do at Naked Ape.
Yeah, well, I think our men are quite stylish, Bridget, and also with this collection, I've extended it into women's wear as well. So you'd be quite happy about that.
Lovely.
I would say that as any designer, as any niche brand, you're not there to satisfy the entire population. You'd like to entice that population, but you know that you can only service a minor percentage thereof because of your processing and how you do with your particular brand. In our case, we cannot deal with a lot because we are not that commercial brand and we do not believe in the fast fashion space at all because of how polluting that space is already. So creating niche luxury capsule collections is at the forefront of what we do, and that is that's where we are. So, in terms of the craftsmanship of the actual garments, the artisanal touches that comes from fabric manipulation to fabric enhancing to the embroidery to the various different hand printing techniques that we are using. That allows us to tap into what the youth are doing at the moment and also to expand on that. So giving them an opportunity to look at different angles of industry. We work with some youngsters who we are now training to think differently and apply an age-old tradition like hand embroidery, which is often associated with a certain kind of elderly female figure. We are now bringing that into a younger thinking, so you might have learned it from your grandmother or your aunt, and now you're able to apply it into a very high fashion space.
Wonderful. We look forward to the show and, of course, the continued growth of Naked Ape. That was visionary founder of the brand Naked Ape, and they're showcasing at the South African Fashion Week. SA Fashion Week is upon us, or they did actually showcase at South African Fashion Week just a couple of days ago with their latest collection, Afro Monks. And you can find them. They've got locations dotted out across the country if you want to see what it is that Sheldon gets up to with his team. That was a creative Sheldon Kopman joining us for Made in SA. Let's take a quick pause and then we come back and we catch up with Professor Tianus Boyson, founder of the Electric Mobility Lab.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
We are catching up with Professor Tianus Boyson, our founder of the Electric Mobility Lab, and he's going to tell us more about what is actually first and foremost. Good afternoon to you, Prof. Let's get some context around the Electric Mobility Lab.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Yeah, the Mobility Lab is something we created because we realized there's just not much happening in the electric mobility space in South Africa. So we've been doing research for the last 5 years or so on electric mobility and specifically trying to focus on the African environment, looking at minibus taxis and what you mentioned earlier, the 3 million odd bodas in Nairobi, looking to a large extent at the two-wheelers that we find in Africa. So we're trying to make it regionally applicable and relevant.
And I mean, let's talk about sort of our readiness to hop on and design as well as build anything that is powered by even some of our most natural resources like the sun on the continent.
Yeah, good question. So in South Africa, we've been lagging behind with our electric transformation or to the move towards electric mobility. But all the skills are in the country. We've made an electric vehicle a long time ago, and I don't know if you're aware, we converted a minibus taxi last year. We've just recently completed the conversion of a bus, one of the Golden Arrow buses we converted with the support of Sanedi. And we are now collaborating with a company in Kenya called Rome Electric, who are making electric motorbikes for Africa, and they've developed this in Africa, which is why we want to collaborate with them. We want to keep the jobs in the sub-Saharan continent, and we want to work with them. So we're driving a bike from Nairobi to Stellenbosch, and as you said earlier, powering it with just solar power. So we're driving with a stack of solar panels, unpacking them every day, charging a battery, and then propelling this vehicle with just sun power, because it can be done. We have sunny climes in sub-Saharan Africa.
Very interesting. Now, I kind of see it as a concept motorcycle, for instance. You know, like how the big car manufacturers will introduce concept cars and show us what they're gleaming in the future. I wonder how easily does that translate into commercial motorcycles, for instance? Have the Kenyans gotten it correct already with their borders?
I love the way you framed that question. It's almost like a slam dunk from here. So the fascinating thing is we've got tens of thousands of electric motorbikes in Africa already. This is not new at all. And us as South Africans, we're lagging behind substantially. The company we're working with are pushing out electric bikes daily. And it's completely viable. It's already operational. And they've got what they call swappable power stations or battery-banked power stations. You can go to Uganda, Kigali, Kampala, or Nairobi, even small countries like Togo and Benin, they have electric bikes being manufactured there and charged from solar power and running on swappable batteries. So it's absolutely viable and already in production.
Wow. So what's been our challenge?
So, yeah, good question. So the big challenges in our context especially is that the electricity we have in South Africa is dirty, right? And we have more than 450,000 jobs in the country that rely on vehicle production. Most of those vehicles are being exported to Europe, so more than 70%. And the issue is Europe will not take our cars very soon. That's the one issue. And then those jobs will be at risk. So we need to convert to electric very soon. The other issue is we need to provide mobility options for local sub-Saharan Africa challenges. Vehicles that are more robust, vehicles that can possibly charge slower so that we don't overburden our fickle and fragile grid. So we've got a few challenges in our own space. Just a very simple thing that we're looking at now is the mobility patterns of minibus taxis. Because the drivers they're basically spontaneous decision makers, right? It's not scheduled public transport as you would find in the UK or in developed countries. That really complicates matters for planning for electric mobility because you don't know where to put the chargers, where they will be at what time and what the state of the battery would be. So those are the type of research questions we're looking at right now. And then some of the other issues is, although we have sun, the availability of sun is not necessarily the same time that we have the vehicles parked. And especially given minibus taxis, they drive until there are no passengers. So the question is, when can you charge? So we're looking at the link between the grid, link between energy provision, link with infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, and mobility patterns, and analyzing those.
I see. As I steal just 1 minute into our news, talk to me quickly about this expedition, because the team of 6 is currently in Malawi, from what I understand, and you're going to be joining them in Lusaka, Zambia, in a couple of days. But what is the motivation behind the expedition from Nairobi to Stellenbosch?
We want to create awareness. That's the one thing. We want to show that African solutions made for African conditions can work, and that we don't have to charge from dirty grid energy to do so. So those are some of the fundamentals. Coincidentally, yesterday we had a massive hailstorm in Tanzania, and I kept on thinking, people said you can drive an electric bike in Africa when Tanzania freezes over. So now I think we're in that position.
I love that. A very sassy note for us to leave it on. Prof. Tianus Boyson, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. Prof is the founder of the Electric Mobility Lab. Looking forward to seeing more of those electric motorcycles on our roads in the near future. It's just gone 2:00.
you very much, Sister Bridge. The top stories this hour. Public servants accuse the government of negotiating in bad faith, and the pigsty farm murder case is postponed. A very good afternoon. The Public Servants Association has accused the government of approaching the public sector wage talks in bad faith. Negotiations officially kicked off this week at the Public Sector Coordinating Bargaining Council in Centurion. Unions representing civil servants have tabled a 12% wage demand for the next financial year. The employer is only offering 3%. The workers want the new wage increases to be factored into the midterm budget policy statement to be tabled by the Finance Minister later this month. Here's the PSA's John Defo.
We could not find each other as the employer basically did not agree with almost all of our demands, and we as Labour rejected the offer or the position that the employer would have tabled, which then led to us agreeing that since we cannot find one another, let's enlist the service of a facilitator that we hope will be able to bring two parties that are currently far from each other.
Communities of Rondebosch East have called on the City of Cape Town for better communication regarding a proposed social housing project in the area. They say they are opposed to the construction of 800 units. The chairperson of the Rondebosch East Residents Association, Rashad David, says their opposition is not directed at the idea of social houses, but in the city's lack of communication.
Properties, and not one of that property is made available for social housing. So the idea here is that we have seen the mayor a letter. We have had no response. We asked the mayor that please meet with us as residents in terms of Section 13 of the Municipal Asset Transfer Regs and discuss this matter with us so that we can come to a just and equitable solution.
The Polokwane Regional Court in Limpopo has postponed the bail application of 3 men accused of killing 2 women in the pigsty farm murder case to the 6th of next month. The matter has been postponed for appeal determination and further investigations. The 3 accused, Zakaria Olifir, Rudolf de Wet, and William Musora, allegedly shot and killed 2 women at their pig farm in Onderwacht outside Polokwane. Mahlatsi Paladi reports.
The defense told the court they are not ready to proceed with the bail application as they are awaiting an appeal decision on the contents of the docket. The defense has said that if they don't have the contents of the docket, this might jeopardize their case. The defense also submitted that accused number 1, Olifir, has chronic conditions and that must be attended to. The presiding officer, Magistrate in Dilem Filling, postponed the matter but referred it back to the Mangwe Magistrate Court until the appeal outcome has been finalized. The accused have been remanded in custody. Mahlatsi Paladi, SABC News, Polokwane.
Police in the Western Cape say they've arrested 4 officers who are allegedly part of an armed robbery at a premises in Hout Bay in Cape Town. They say members of the Provincial Anti-Corruption Unit have followed up on information of a robbery that happened last month at the house of a foreign national. Police spokesperson FC van Wyk says the 4 male officers will appear in court tomorrow.
Investigation by seasoned detectives led to the arrest of police members over a period of time. A 44-year-old sergeant was arrested on the 14th of September at 35 Squadron in Bella. A 28-year-old constable was arrested at Guguletu Police. Further investigations led to the arrest of a 33-year-old sergeant at Bellville Police on the 19th of September. Early this morning, anti-corruption unit members arrested a 38-year-old sergeant at Philippi Police after the member was linked through fingerprints found at the crime scene.
And Claudia Sheinbaum has been sworn in as Mexico's new president. She's the first woman in the country's history to hold that office. The former mayor of Mexico City is a close ally of the outgoing president Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Thousands of her supporters gathered outside the Congress and in the capital's main square to welcome her. Sheinbaum set out some of her policies.
In economic matters, the autonomy of the Bank of Mexico, a responsible fiscal policy, and a reasonable debt-to-gross domestic product ratio will be maintained. We will promote public investment and private investment. I say this very clearly. Rest assured that the investments of domestic and foreign shareholders will be safe in our country.
The top story, the Public Servants Association has accused the government of approaching the public sector wage talks in bad faith. The full circle continues. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemele.
Need a loan? Pay for what you need when you need it with a personal loan from Nedbank. And if you open a MyGoals Plus or MyGoals Premium account, you can enjoy 200 Rand cashback every month for the duration of your loan. That's 200 Rand every month to buy extra groceries or save for a rainy day. Visit nedbank.co.za and join the bank that's best for your loans. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The world's best football league makes its return to S3. Will Arsenal finally win their first title since 2004? Or will Man City continue their dominance of the league and win their 7th title under Pep Guardiola? Will the Dutchman in Erik ten Hag and Arne Slot have something to say as Man United and Liverpool step in to contest for the title? But it's not only about winning the title. For some of the 20 teams, it's a chance to improve on their performances from last season. While for others, it's the battle to avoid relegation and stay in the top flight. Every team has a point to prove. This is not just football. This is a masterpiece being played out every weekend. Channel your best sport with the English Premier League. Saturdays at 3 p.m. on S3. Open up.
S3. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
In my people's quest for true freedom, I pray that we unmask ourselves from everything that allows us to love. Because love is true freedom. And that's where our freedom is.
Painting a picture with every word that I bring to you. Singing the color of you. 'Cause you know this. Love in the music. Love is the message I bring to you. Love is the color of you.
The day, it's a day, Open your eyes so you can see what I'm facing. Hoping you find that you were free like a mason. Hoping you find that you will sink like a basin. Frozen in time so you redeem those chasing the cause. Freedom fighters, those saving the soul. Reading writers, those taking the fall for your nation. The poor, their numbers where you're raking the marks. Draw a line, man, we're breaking the law. Sometimes stand still. Watching the government attend deals with warlords came to kill. FX later, man, we get the bill. The taxpayer, man, they gave Brazil. So we ask questions about the name, the shame, and the pain we feel. And it's unfortunate. The same in every country on this continent. The same that makes us angry at the consequence. It's just them burning lanes. Steve Biko in a turning grave. We see a hero who just can't save. We're feeling lethal in the baddest way. 'Cause love is the color of you.
Painting a picture with every word that I bring to you. Singing the color of you. 'Cause you know this. Love in the music. Love is a message I bring to you. Love is the color of you. Every song that I sing is a portrait of freedom that love can
light so you can see the sacrifice that your forefathers did to cushion you like pillow fights. Hoping you find that you will need a pen to write how sacred the finest of. I think we lost our minds when he told the line. The Philistines too fresh than ass last end. The break your spine too fresh against blast when you take your time and choose chance and no advancement. And my assessment is I would need truth for clarity like a cat scan. I'm going insane, mad confusion. I'm losing my way, whatever road we're choosing. A product of rage and optical illusion. Everything I do is just a cue, just to get me boozing. Give me your heart to get me feeling human. To receive that freedom from sky. To redeem what we're feeling inside. Cause fear is a demon alive. I shit here, but I'm keeping alive. Cause love is a color of you. And that's true.
Painting a picture with every word that I bring to it. Singing the color of you. Love in the music, love is a message, love in the music, love is a color of you. Love is just a color of
It's Notende and Kabomo teaming up for the song, or Kabomo featuring Notende in the song, because I kind of feel like Notende's vocals in the song also made it her own, you know. And there's some artists that you invite on to collaborate with you, and then they come on and the additions that they make to the song, almost gives the song or cements their identity in the song, rather, so that even when they are performing, and I've had the pleasure of seeing her perform this song more times than I've seen Kabomo perform the song, and I swear to God, in the back of my mind, I always say it's a Notende song, but it's Kabomo featuring Notende. That is how we enter past 2 o'clock. It's just gone 10 past 2 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. We're looking at embracing independence now and, self-discovery and celebrating the joys of being single. And I guess in part this comes because of the observations we make on social media as well, right? That there seems to be this resurgence of claiming singledom and people just relishing in being single, right? And I must admit, sometimes I kind of look at the running commentary on platforms like X, little squint eye, and I think, well, are you really embracing being single? Are you really enjoying it as much as you say you are? But I think that's just my own personal triggers as somebody who got on Noah's Ark 2x2. I always say that I got a Noah's Ark 2x2. My spirit was cemented to walk in twos. And so we thought we'd invite mind transformation coach Unoglunga Mzigandaba to join us on this conversation and help us weave through some of it, and maybe even find ourselves along this journey. How are you doing this afternoon, Noglunga?
I'm well, thanks, and you, Bridget?
I'm okay, thank you. I cannot complain. I mean, firstly, mind transformation coach. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Yes.
In essence, what does a mind transformation coach do?
Yeah, I love that. Thanks so much for having me, first thing. And also, thank you so much for that question, because we know that there is this big umbrella of life coaching, which is people helping others through their experiences and helping them to see how can they also navigate this life based on their own experiences. But then when it comes to the mind and how we have been conditioned, we miss a big part of ourselves and looking at how other people are living. And all that is what we keep on engraving in our psyche. And now we end up living our lives from the 5 senses, what everybody else is doing. So if it means there is a cheetah that is coming from the north, everybody from the north will run to the south without even asking why. So yes, with the mind transformation, we actually looking at where the mind is set. And that comes from how you have been brought up and the information that you ended up downloading from all the environments that you have been. And now you live your life based on other people's eyes. And that is not the right way. So that is why we are doing the mindset. The mind is set somewhere and it's not empowering, it's disempowering. Therefore, we have to bring it back, setting the pin to the right point.
Yes.
And then you start all over again. Yeah.
All right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. That because I think it touches, from what I understand, mind transformation coaching touches on the principles of life coaching, but also touches on the principles of psychology. Specifically looking at those psychologists who practice theories around the imago, which is the imprint of all your shared and experiences and how that sort of informs who you are and how you move in the world. So, okay, I understand. I'm clear now, Noglunga Uguti, what exactly is a mind transformation coach. Let's talk about, the themes around celebrating independence, self-discovery, and obviously embracing the joys of being single. And I was saying, if we open any app now, Facebook, Twitter, all these social media apps, there's this great sort of conversation that's been happening. People are single and proud, embracing their singledom, in my single girl era and in my single boy era. But sometimes I pause and I kind of play devil's advocate and I think, well, are people really embracing it as much as they say they are?
You know what? It still goes back to how we have been brought up, how we have been conditioned, knowing that if you are a man, you have to have a woman, which is true because it's nature, and also vice versa. But we miss a point somewhere because now it is a culture that we have been brought up with. And now when it gets to a point where you have to move forward in life and being single, it's sort of something is not right with you. And now people force it. We end up forcing it. And what do? We end up getting to people that are actually like us inside, because this thing is inside. Hence, we're talking about the law of attraction. Now go back and review how you have been brought up. What is it that you were told? I always say to people, look, what is it that you were told? You get to understand now, because you mirror. You mirror yourself to the outside and you attract that kind of a person. And what is it that this person is attracting? Is attracting all the junk that you have been told. Hence, we are saying most of the time we're looking on the negative.
Yeah.
How we have been brought up, you are a woman, you have to be married, and you have to be married to this rich person who's going to take care of you. And then there you go, you take the stand to say, look, I'm going to make this person so much happy and making sure that I build this a relationship and this marriage and this family. But you miss a point of taking care of yourself. Put yourself on the side and put other people on the pedestal.
Yeah.
So while you are putting yourself there on the side, you become something else that this person does not appreciate anymore, because you don't appreciate yourself first. So it starts from within. It's an inside job to say, oh, now that I understand that I'm working with the law, there is a law of cause and effect. What is it that you are sowing by the time you are thinking that, look, I'm actually going to make this family so happy, I'm gonna, all the dreams that you are seeing, the picture is broad, and you're working so hard to make it work, and it doesn't work, to the point that it doesn't work anymore. You know, so it's where,
How do we then flip the script, right? Because if we're talking about resetting a mind, how do we then flip the script so that one does embrace the independence that comes with, whether you're single or whatever it is? What do we do? What do we focus on to do that in order to enjoy things like the freedom, the empowerment, the personal growth that these opportunities of singledom bring you?
Perfect. It's a beautiful question. It starts again. It starts from the beginning. what is it that you were told to be dependent?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of now flipping the coin to say, I am claiming my dependence, therefore my independence. When you had to become dependent, you were told many times, Bridget, you know what? You need to be a wife. You see now she's growing. She's going to be someone's wife. You see now, even your father is saying, hey, I'm going to get a lobola. You see, even if it's a boy, you know now your mom will be saying, now Magodi is coming. It's just the energy that is going around you, which you end up, you download it subconsciously, and then it works on you subconscious. It becomes an unconscious thought that has to manifest in you. So time and again, and the environment is also saying the same thing as you grow. Then you fall in that trap to say, you know what, now I feel it, I have to find a man, I have to find, it's nature. But what kind of a man are you looking for? What kind of a woman are you looking for? You are not looking for a kind of a man based on the facial features, because you are energy. The energy being that you are is looking for the energy that you have inside you. Then ultimately you get to that person. So it's a repetition. Now, how do you flip the coin? It's also through the constant spaced repetition. Just to take it to a very simpler level. When you were young, a little baby, mom and dad said, this little girl is going to be called Bridget. So everybody else comes and sees this girl. So everyone is saying, Bridget. You are lying there as a little child, an infant, because you are energy. So now all this information goes into your subconscious mind. You are being programmed to say you are Bridget. So now whenever someone calls your name, then you start doing this. Because every time when that name is called, it's when you are there. So it's a constant spaced repetition that the subconscious mind accepts to say, yeah, now I agree. Now, because the child has got a sponge, the subconscious mind of a child is a sponge. You just put water, it goes there. And then because it accepts everything as it is, so that it uses this information in future. Therefore, it takes all this information, it forms something like a satellite dish to connect all this information that you have inside. So to reverse all that, you go through the same process, constant space repetition, no force, nothing. So we see it's a journey, not going to be something of today. No overnight solution here. So now most people, because we want things to happen so fast, we're living in a very fast-paced life, so we want things to happen immediately, and it doesn't work. You see? So that is the starting point, to give yourself permission to deal with yourself first. Yes, maybe you might want to have that relationship, but if you love yourself and accepting who you are, you learn yourself first, and then you unlearn. You reprogram the mind yourself. Else you can go to somebody who will identify, or maybe you will tell the person what you're facing. But remember, you've got pills and pills and pills, layers and layers, because it's not only this singlehood thing, or maybe seeing yourself parting with your love, your lover or your woman, whoever, your husband. No, it's a journey, but it's very, very important to employ self-acceptance and self-love first, because once you do that, it reflects on the outside. Then you start attracting the love that you want, based on what you have defined it.
I want to touch a little bit as well, Noglunga, on, and I understand the sort of the reprogramming comes with unlearning and relearning, but also I guess the repetition speaks to sending yourself a different messaging and a different coding, right? Easier said than done. Because as you said, if you've been bombarded with one particular coding, or seen yourself in one particular identity, even because some things are choice and some things are not choice, it's harder for some folks to be able to embrace themselves or see their identity in singledom and what that might look like, what that single independence and that single self-empowerment might look like. So what conversations would you have with clients around, maybe how do you go about building that? How do you go about identifying what that looks like, what that feels like for you, in order to nurture it, to grow to a place where you ultimately become comfortable in that identity?
Oh, lovely. First thing we need to understand, Bridget, that we work with the laws of nature. I mean, there is always a night because there's a day.
Yeah.
That is the basic. Yeah. You cannot have 2 days, 2 nights after another. That's the law. I'm inside sitting down. If I stand up, it's the law. There's the law of opposites, right? So the subconscious mind, the way it works according to the law, and it accepts. It does not reject. Now, when it comes to the language that you speak, that self-talk, remember also we're talking about the energy. Let me just digress a little bit so that I can bring you to a maybe better understanding. You know the banana. And if I can blindfold you and tell you that, Bridget, I have a fruit here. Now you need to tell me what is it, what kind of a fruit is it? And then I'm saying you're not going to touch it, but I'm just going to let it pass via your nose so that you can sense that subtle, beautiful smell of a banana. And you tell me it's a banana, right? And I said, no, it's not. And then I'm like, hold it. Yes, it's a banana, Nokulunga. Okay, why is it ripe? Oh, now you know how it is when it is ripe. You see? So now that picture is the picture that you have been told it is sitting in you. Whenever you are going around wanting to buy a banana, you know the kind of a banana that you want to buy. It is ripe, it is soft, it is looking like this. So now if you remove the banana and you replace it with a disempowering word, that means the subconscious mind will have to reflect that on the outside. Because remember, when you go to the shop to buy a banana, you are holding a picture in your psyche that will actually reflect on the outside. That means the subconscious mind makes things physically equivalent on the outside. It can be good or not good, because remember, we are working with the natural laws of the universe. You cannot change them. So the moment you speak a language to yourself that is disempowering while you are working yourself, you are actually creating the very same thing. Just like a person who will say, oh, I'm so broke. Look, your wish is fulfilled. It's a self-fulfilled prophecy. The subconscious mind will make things physically equivalent so that you experience that brokenness. Why so? Because we are here to co-create. We are the expressions of the creative power. Therefore, these creative abilities, they are in us, and you use them with free will. If you do not know the language that the subconscious mind understands to empower you and support you to move forward, then by default you are moving backwards, unawares.
I mean, you make a lot of sense, and I wish we had time to explore the conversation a little bit more, but we have to wrap it there for today. That was a mind transformation coach, Nokulunga Mzegandaba, joining us. It's 2:30. Madupi is standing by with the headline news.
Thank you very much, Bridge, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, the Israeli Foreign Ministry has announced a ban on UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres visiting the country. The Public Servants Association has accused the government of approaching the public sector wage talks in bad faith. And the Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber says it is concerned about the revision of transport tariffs in the metro and the surrounding areas. And those are your headlines. A full news update, the top of the hour.
The Meeting Point with Koketso Sachane.
Praveen has really helped us understand what has become to be known as the phenomenon of state capture. He initiated this group of academics who produced the first set of academic material on what we understood then to be state capture under the title of Connecting the Dots, which I think enables South Africans for the first time to understand the various issues that they were really trying to comprehend and make sense of. And in that way, I think, created the basis for the public challenge to state capture as it became known, both within the ANC, but also more within the public domain.
Nishan Bolton, the Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation.
The Meeting Point on SAFM.
At the South African breweries, the beers are brewed with 95% local and natural ingredients. From seed to sip, every step of the process supports a thriving agricultural sector and sustains over 250,000 livelihoods. So next time you enjoy a cold one, remember, you're supporting local farmers. South African breweries are brewing more than just beer, brewing a future with more cheers. South Africa, be sharp, not for sale to persons under the age of 18.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello everyone, I'm Mushfika Talib. Drinking water is probably the most easiest of ways to cleanse your body. Therefore, it's important and should become a habit in your daily life if it isn't already. You can actually tell if you don't drink enough water. You can tell by how your skin looks, pimples will start appearing, your urine will be a dark color, and in general, you'll feel very dehydrated and tired. If you struggle to get into the habit of drinking more water, I recommend that you invest in a water bottle that you like so that it can encourage you to stay hydrated. And also have a friend or family member to remind you about drinking water. You can also start drinking water with your meals. I don't think there's a limit to how much water you drink, but this shouldn't be the only thing you consume. Just take a few glasses of water a day or sips from a water bottle. I personally use a water bottle and I refill it about 2 to 3 times in a day. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 10 years old. It is important to drink water because it makes your body healthy and makes you have energy. If you don't drink enough water, you'll feel dizzy, feel tired. If you're tired, you have to drink water to have energy. The fun ways you can make sure you drink enough water every day is to always have your bottle inside filled with water and drink water each and every 30 minutes after. I think each and every day we should drink 5 bottles or more. It depends on what you're doing. You might be sleeping, resting. Some people are from work, but if you are a child, you should drink more than 5 times a day. I think people should drink 7 bottles of water each and every day. Thank you, everyone.
Greetings. The thing that I think is important for my body is water. Water is important because it keeps me hydrated and keeps my goal going. So, if I do not drink water for some time, I can feel it when my throat is dry and I feel a little bit weak because I'm actually used to drinking water. I usually drink water 3 times a day, which is after taking my food at the moment of the day, in the afternoon, the morning, and at night, which is breakfast, lunch, and supper. The water that I drink a glass of water after every meal that I eat to keep my body hydrated and healthy. And I would encourage people to drink water because water is the source that, like, you can stay 30 days without eating, but you can't spend 30 days without drinking water. So I would encourage other kids to drink water. Thank you.
My name is Lwanzi Hlongwane. Water is super duper duper important and we have to drink it every single day. because it helps with things like your skin, your eyesight, your health in general, you know. If you want to have a well-functioning body and a healthy body, you have to drink water. I think the common way to see if you're not drinking enough water is by your urine. If it has like a yellow, very, very yellow color, that could indicate that you're not drinking a lot of water. But if it's like a very calm yellow, almost transparent, then that just means that you are drinking as much water as you should. I think some fun ways to make sure that you drink water is you can get apps that usually remind you to drink water. There's also, I think, bottles. There are bottles that have like print where they give you like motivational quotes and they're like, you can do this, come on now, you know, you just keep drinking your water. You are supposed to drink 8 glasses of water every day. And I find that impossible. But I do not drink 8 glasses a day. At least like 3 to 5. But I mean, I'm starting slow, but I don't think I will get to the point where I drink 8 glasses of water every day.
My name is Kate and I drink water, and I wouldn't say I drink too much or too little water, just in the middle. And I know it's healthier to have warm water, but I actually really like cold water. It's just so calming and I just enjoy cold water more. And I know it's really important to drink water to keep yourself hydrated and to clean your system from time to time. And yes, thank you so much for listening.
Hello, my name is Padzamajete and I'm 12 years old. I drink water twice a day. I like my water at a cold temperature. Yes, I know that it is very important to drink water. It is important because it helps to prevent dehydration and keeps our bodies very healthy and strong.
Hello friends and happy Wednesday. Today I want us to chat about something super important, drinking water. Water is vital for keeping our bodies healthy and strong, especially during the spring season. With warmer weather, we tend to spend more time outdoors, playing and having a blast. But did you know that when it gets warm, our bodies need even more water to stay hydrated? When you drink plenty of water, it helps keep your body cool. Since our bodies are mostly made of water, staying hydrated helps us think clearly, feel energized, and perform better in our activities. If you don't drink enough water, you might feel sluggish or even get a headache. That's your body's way of telling you, I need more water. Spring is the perfect time to remind ourselves to hydrate. With all the sunshine and outdoor fun, after playing soccer, biking, or just walking around, you might sweat and lose water. It's crucial to drink enough water to replenish what you've lost. There are some fun ways to ensure you're drinking enough water every day. You can take a bright, colorful water bottle with you everywhere you go. Adding a slice of lemon or some berries can make your water taste delicious. I mean, you can choose any fruit you like. You could even turn it into a game. Challenge your friends and family to see who can drink the most water in a day. So keep in mind that water is your body's best buddy, especially in the spring. Stay hydrated, healthy, and ready to enjoy all the exciting activities the season has to offer.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Night Talk with Oliver Dixon.
You and I have a country to build, difficult conversations to have, solutions to find, and stories to tell. Join me, Oliver Dixon, on Night Talk every Monday to Thursday from 10 p.m. to midnight.
I'm Michelle Constant. Join the JSB crew and I every Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 10 a.m. We promise to keep you informed and entertained with innovation, culture, cars, travel, life learnings, environment, and of course, your big fat juicy. Small stories, big ideas, massive inspiration. The Jet Set Breakfast on SAFM.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So the conversation that we tried to have yesterday is a little feel-gooder. You can tell from today, I told you that we've got an easy show today. We're trying to take your mind off everything that's happening, on the news cycle, because the news can be very dark sometimes, very, very dark, especially if you're following all the incidences of the horrible farm killings that have happened in the last 2 weeks or so. I know, that court case in Limpopo jumped off this morning with a bail hearing. And so I think even for those of us who work in the media space, it becomes a lot at times. And we've had this conversation about maybe just carving out some moments, intentionally so, where you still feel like you're getting, you're still getting your dose of being plugged into what's happening politically, socially, in the country and on the continent, but you're not maybe investing that much in the darkness 24/7, just so you can give your mind and your spirit a little bit of a break. And so today we brought you a little bit of a lighter show by way of the conversations that we were having. A different kind of textured show. Well, not different. It's some things that we do every day. But, we try to just stay clear a little bit from all the hard-hitting, really negative stuff that's been happening in the country. And that's why yesterday we wanted to have a feel-good conversation around nursing, and time was just not on our side. So we are having it today, and Upudntlanhla Mtize is joining us. He decided, he was like, Yazuktin, tomorrow I'm coming into studio. And he's with the Health and Other Services Personnel Trade Union of South Africa, HOSPERSA. And of course, Usakile Kunu is joining us on the line. Sakile is a nurse at Bara Hospital. Let me start maybe with you first, Sakile. How are you doing?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm good. Thank you. Cannot complain. I hope we are not disturbing you, because I don't want to get into trouble.
No, you are not.
Okay, great.
It's my lunchtime.
It's your lunchtime. I know you are working at the biggest hospital on the continent, right? I'm not mistaken if I say so.
Yes.
Yeah. How is it? Paint me a picture. Paint me a picture of if there is such a thing as a typical, in air quotes, typical day on a hospital floor as a nurse.
Yeah.
What is that like? Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. No, since it's the biggest hospital, we've got a lot of challenges. But I want to say to people, it's not a hospital, it's a village. It's the biggest in the world. It's not a hospital. A hospital can be something that you can easily, because we've got I think we've got 5 hospitals inside it, 5 hospitals and clinics as well. And there's still another construction on developing. It's a village. Paragwana is not a hospital, it's a village for me. It's too big.
Right, and the way he keeps emphasizing Puntlanhla, the way he keeps emphasizing that Paragwana is a village, I think he's politely trying to tell us we must understand all the challenges that they have there, right? Let's talk about that, Puntlanhla. Let's talk about before we get to the good parts, because nursing is a calling, but it's a calling that is thankless, and it's a calling that people have to deal with a lot of adversities.
Definitely, yes, yeah.
Can you hear me?
A nurse, you are the main person in a health facility, in a health system, because people have expectations, especially patients and the community. And when they talk about health system, they are talking about the nurses. So all the burdens that come to the health system are carried by the nurses. And with the current situation of shortage of staff and so on, especially in our province as Gauteng, because I think we have challenges currently that have been experienced where most hospitals are depleted of staff, and nurses now carry the burden of the community, of the health system. Shortage of medications, they blame the nurse. If the doctor's not there, they blame the nurse and so on. So as a nurse, you are definitely placed in a very difficult position to be able to serve the community whilst remaining sane as well as a person. Yeah.
And I think we probably don't put ourselves in the often very uncomfortable shoes of nurses or even the support staff at hospitals, right?
Yes,
We don't place ourselves in that situation in order to understand maybe what they could be dealing with on a day-to-day basis, which is so that we can employ some kind of empathy or sympathy towards them.
Definitely, because the environment they are working in, especially with dealing with sick people, dealing with challenges people are experiencing on a day-to-day basis, it's already frustrating and stressing to the personnel, and they deserve debriefing sessions to assist them to cope with their daily issues, because apart from being employees in the health system, they are human beings as well. They have their own difficulties. So taking the burdens of our community and including their own, it becomes very difficult.
Absolutely. Sakile, are you back with us on the line?
Yes, I'm still on the line.
Okay.
But the guy is talking. The voice is Peter. I cannot hear him clearly.
Sakile.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Sakile, I think it's your phone, my brother.
No, it's not the phone. I can hear you now.
Let's see, Uguti, how we navigate through this conversation. So, Open Tlanta was talking about, we're talking about, the challenges that you'll face as nurses, right? And that sometimes we can't necessarily relate to what that looks like or what that feels like for you as a nurse. Let's talk about that by way of, maybe the question is, considering the challenges that you face in the space, what kind of compassion and understanding maybe do you think is lacking when we have a conversation about the healthcare sector in South Africa, when we have a conversation around nurses and doctors in South Africa? We have a lot of conversations as communities and individuals about y'all, but what kind of compassion is lacking there? What would you like us maybe to understand?
To understand about the profession itself.
About the profession and about specifically nurses being in the profession, the challenges, the burdens, the hurdles, the things that we don't experience because we are not you. And so when we encounter you and we just go, that nurse, Sakile, but we don't know because we don't walk in your shoes.
At some point, I think, as us, Parakwana, the challenges that we are having is shortage of staff. We keep on employing people, but the hospital here is a public and it's a village, like I've said. The staff is not, I'll be honest with you, is not enough. That is why you'll find some places, not in Para only, you'll find some nurses, other nurses are Peter. Because you'll find that maybe she'll report to his or her supervisor that, hey, on the shift, I'm not coping. I just need more staffing. But only to find out he's not doing listening, because there's other shifts with different people who are working, they are coping, the capacity, you understand? Because some supervisors, they are not like they listening. Some people, how they get positions. It's not they didn't get in a nice way. They don't have that compassion. They just passed on that position, so they won't understand the struggle that we face, because being a nurse is not an easy thing. It's a calling I still have, and it needs a compassion. Yeah. Because by the day you're gonna be sitting with the patient 7 to 7, it's 12 hours in a day. Can you just imagine? For instance, you had casualty. Our first department where we try it that this patient can go to site. This patient is a medical, it's an ICU. So can you just imagine? Then you are short there, obvious. your passion will be, and your level of care, you will not do the right things.
Let's
Because you're
talk.
going to be overwhelmed,
Let's talk also a little bit about being a male nurse. And I wonder, that must be a very unique experience because firstly, when we think nurses, we don't really think male nurses have the same kind of nurturing.
Being a male nurse, I'm telling you, I'll be honest with you, no guy said, when I finish school, I want to do nursing.
Yeah.
There was no guy who said that. All we said engineering, all those courses. But being a male nurse, I will tell you, I was recognized by my grandmother, my late grandmother. She said, when you end this destination, you'll be helping people at hospital. So, nurses, they carry feces. But only to find out now, after all the struggles, I found myself in nursing. I got a bursary in 2018. I competed. I had challenges. It's not easy. It's not just like nursing that you're going to carry feces. You study a lot because the Department of Health is cooperating with the University of Vet. And then it has some combination like whereby vets, they come with theory, combine with the theory of Baragwana as a hospital, and then practicals. And then it becomes a form. That is why by the first year, you're already knowing a lot of things. Especially second year, you are mastering things. You can deliver a baby. You know those things.
Yeah.
So, being a nurse, we thought as we were growing, and people still having that thing that it's for gays. People just change it, especially men, because it's a most female-dominating course. But being a male nurse, I will tell you one thing now, it's a booming career.
It's a booming career.
It's got a lot of opportunities.
Okay. And Buntlanta, how does I don't know if the sector even has conversations around this, the sort of the nuanced experience of male nurses, for instance, versus female nursing staff? Or is it something that's not even a conversation because we're dealing with far maybe more pressing issues at the time?
It doesn't. It doesn't, Bridget, because mainly when you talk about a nurse, you talk about the sister.
Yeah.
And when you say a sister, automatically you give that connotation to a female person. So being a male nurse, being a male in this profession, automatically you are absorbed within, and you lose your status of being or of a gender identity, and you just become part of the system. So there's no much talk about male nurses or a voice for male nurses, which it's an impact or something that impacts on, the boy child growing with this idea of being a nurse and so on. For example, I never thought I would become a nurse. I wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
That is what is in the mainstream. But ultimately, when I joined the profession, I realized that there's so much into nursing that, a lot of people are missing out and losing into other faculties that maybe they are not even cut through to fit in. But whilst they have this compassion and care that they can provide to the community, but because of this stigma of nurses being gays, like my colleague has said, we don't consider.
So, okay, how do we then begin to plug into that conversation? Because we have a lot of conversations on this show as well. Obviously, I'm female and my entire team is female, so all our conversations are female biased. So we have a lot of conversations around sort of adapting environments and different spaces to the unique needs of females, right?
Yes.
Especially in male-dominated industries, which is 90% of all industries. So we have these conversations, and we're conscious about having these conversations. But here now is an industry where the tables are reversed, right? And if the conversation is, let's not leave a boy child behind, then we definitely want the next crop of male nurses, the ones that are considering getting into college and becoming nurses, to not have to be boggled with what will society think, like yourself or Sakile, or if I get into the space, like, what does it say about me? How do we begin to have the same conversations we have around adapting and being accommodating and inclusive for females in majority of the sectors and industries in society? How do we reverse that and say, how do we do that for male nurses? Because doctors are fine, nurses.
No, thanks, Bridget. I think I should applaud you for this initiative, because it's a small seed that you are planting out there, and definitely it's going to have a very huge impact in the mindset of our communities and so on. Because once you are inside the health system as a male nurse, you actually have more opportunities, because a male nurse is well perceived, because you know that the health system, most of the consumers are female, and they are more comfortable being assisted by a male. And when you are there as a male nurse, you become more in touch with the patients, especially the energies between a male and a female when you are nursing your patients. So if we can have more conversations in this field and expose the male nurses in terms of profiling their professions, where they come from and so on, many people will start to realize that actually that they are not lost in nursing. Actually, it's a career that they can follow, especially to the young male children that are still in high school and before they go to tertiary institutions. And more especially, I worked most in casualties and in the labor wards in my days as a nurse. And people, when they come to deliver in hospitals, they more prefer male nurses than female. Really? I only had one incident, it's cultural. It was an Indian patient who felt that, she cannot be exposed to a male other than her husband. And I understood it, because it's cultural. There are cultural barriers in nursing. But mostly people prefer to be assisted by male nurses, especially in gynae units, in maternity units, because we are more in touch with the female.
Very interesting. Well, listen, I mean, the most successful of gynecologists, in my humblest opinions, are probably males, so I'd understand why they're supported by male teams. We want to try and sneak in just a caller in our 30 seconds. How are you doing? Is it Mosi Jadi?
Yes, how are you, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you. You've got about 30 seconds. Be precise.
Okay, yes. I've got a comment and a question, and I need a help. 3 things. First comment is, I always say, nursing is supposed to be the most paying profession, because of those people that are going hell and pain, and we don't see that. Okay. Second question, I want to know, my daughter, she always said to my mama, at the age of 5. Then that thing disappeared. Now it just reappeared. Why rata listening or rata bana? So for the trouble, I got a college in Essinga, the Honokobana, more internet. But
okay. I think we had to, unfortunately, end that call because we have run out of time. But, Butntlanhla, let me give you 2 seconds to just give some advice about the calling part, especially for the daughter.
No, thanks a lot. Yeah, there are many institutions that are offering nursing currently. Most nursing colleges that fall under the Department of Health, which work with universities. So she needs to obviously inquire with most departments of health offices within her province where she is.
Okay.
Then it will be easier for a child to get. And obviously the choice of subjects when she goes to high school is very important, because nursing is different from the past now. That there's a specific requirement in terms of subjects that someone must have before they go to nursing. Yes.
Okay, lovely. The time always runs out on the show. I appreciate you taking the time to come out here. That was Unhlanhla Mtize, who is, of course, with HOSPESA, the Health and Other Services Personnel Trade Union of South Africa, right? And Secretary General there, Sakile Mkhunu, joining us, who's a nurse at Bada Hospital. John is standing by. He's going to bring you the National Pulse starting now. Madupi's coming through with the 3 o'clock news. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridge. Safe travels. The top stories at 3. Israel bans the UN chief from visiting, and public servants accuse the government of negotiating in bad faith. A very good afternoon. Starting off in the Middle East, where Israel's foreign ministry has announced a ban on UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres from visiting the country. He was declared persona non grata following his response yesterday to Iran's bombardment of Israel with ballistic missiles. Guterres called for a ceasefire, condemning what he called escalation after escalation without specifically mentioning the Iranian attack. Israel, meanwhile, says it is sending more troops to join its ground operations against Hezbollah militants in Lebanon, a day after Iran launched a huge barrage of ballistic missiles against Israeli towns and cities. The Israeli military says infantry and armored units are being deployed. It warned residents in more than 20 villages in southern Lebanon to leave their homes. In the capital Beirut, Israel carried out more airstrikes overnight. The BBC's Hugo Bachega has more.
We know that the Israelis are describing this ground invasion as limited, targeted, localized. But this morning, Hezbollah said there had been clashes between fighters and the Israeli military as Israeli troops tried to enter a town near the border. Hezbollah said it managed to repel this attack, this incursion by the Israeli military. So I think this could be an indication that there could be direct confrontation between fighters and the Israeli military as this invasion continues.
Looking at news just in, the MK Party has launched an urgent application before the Gauteng High Court in Joburg seeking a declaratory order that the conduct of the Judicial Services Commission to deny a postponement of its interviews to fill vacancies in various superior courts is unconstitutional. Correctional Services says it has dealt with important issues raised in the Public Protector's report on the